and welcome to Talk with Confidence. This is where we have conversations that inspire. Today, I have a truly inspiring guest in studio with me. Her name is Portia Kel. She's an entrepreneur, she's a publisher, she's also an author. She's somebody I've had the pleasure of working with, and a very pleasant person, very progressive, very full of passion. And I believe we'll see some of that passion today. Portia, welcome.
Thank you, Confidence.
Portia, let's start at the beginning. I always like to get the background to a person's story before we get into the meat of the story. Just your background, where you're from, where did you grow up, and what's your background?
Okay, I've lived in different parts of Gauteng, in one part of Northwest.
Okay.
But I grew up in Naledi.
All right.
Yes, in Soweto.
Naledi in Soweto.
Yes.
And your upbringing, what type of upbringing was it? From a home point of view, society point of view, what are the types of things that you encountered, in your upbringing, in your childhood?
The first thing that comes to mind is love and a lot of community-like spirit. Growing up in my granny's home, which was a home to everyone.
Yeah.
And just the love of my grandfather, the protection from my grandmother. That's the environment I know. Just having lots of people around me.
Yeah. And I'm guessing that informed a lot of the work that you do. I mean, you work with authors, you work with a lot of businesses, and it's all about progression and inspiring and spreading the love in essence. Can you tell us about some of the work you do in the publishing business?
All right. Well, publishing, I firstly want to be known as someone who's passionate about audiobooks. And of course, the producer won't be happy. But I love audiobooks because you can listen to the book content while you're driving, while you're cooking, cleaning. But let me stick to what everyone else I work with prefers. So we print.
You print. You also
we
print.
Publish and print books.
Okay. And how long have you been doing that?
I've been doing this on a full-time basis since 2015. Yes.
2015. You mentioned full-time basis, and I mean you're a full-time entrepreneur.
Yes.
What was the process of jumping the big ship into your own ship that you're busy building? What was the process? What are some of the challenges that you've encountered in that process?
So I had been an entrepreneur all my life while I was working. But I think I was mostly a social entrepreneur, even though I was seen to be an entrepreneur, and I have reasons for that.
Yeah.
So I had always wanted to leave the corporate world, but I needed a valid reason. And when I left, it wasn't because of my business, it was because of a request to start a certain social entrepreneur, kind of an NGO, an international one for Southern African region. So that was the reason. But I also knew that it would give me an opportunity to look after my business. So as we speak now, what I do purely, I've said goodbye to social entrepreneurship for now. That's 2018. That's a 2018 resolution. But I decided sometime last year, as a single mom, I have to focus on profitability.
Yes.
So I'm just a full-time publisher and speaker.
Wonderful. In terms of the publishing, I mean, a lot of South African authors find difficult in publishing. So the talent is there, the material is there, but crossing the bridge from just I have a manuscript to here's my published book or my published audiobook. What do you offer in terms of being the bridge?
Yes. So I did a lot of research before publishing my very first book in 2014. Prior to that, I volunteered services to an author just to understand the industry. So I traveled with him all around the country. And in the discoveries I made, I found out that publishing can be presented as something that's almost impossible because of the costs. But you can actually find any type of a package in line with your budget.
Okay.
Of course, it's always good to first find out what it will cost and then work around raising the money, or have the money ready, and if it's not enough, do something to make it to make sure that it's enough. So I decided to write a book around that just to help people, and it's called Self-Publishing.
Yeah, can you delve into that a little bit?
Self-Publishing Guidelines for Writers.
Yes.
I needed people to just be aware of the difference, first of all, of what is it to be what is the difference between self-publishing and commercial to start with.
And what is the difference?
So many people approach me as though I'm a commercial publisher. I'm not. When I say that, it's because I expect you to pay for the services, and you take your work, whatever you sell, you keep all your profits.
Yes.
And if you have agreed to let me sell for you as well, we have an agreement as to what percentage I'll retain. But if I'm not involved in the sale, you keep all your profit.
Okay.
Whereas if you approach a commercial publisher, firstly, I know that it's difficult for anyone to be approved unless they're approved, because they're well known. You know. So the nice thing with going via the commercial publishing route is that you will not have to pay anything, but you will share the profits later on.
And a big margin of your profits goes to
So
the stores there.
yes, you don't have much freedom, but I guess in both there's benefits and
pros and cons.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So what made you say, I want to be a publisher? Was there a love for literature, a love to see authorship grow in Africa, in South Africa? What was the seed to the business?
So it's actually weird, because in high school I had a very strict English teacher who, because of the strictness, I don't want to blame him, but I developed some rebellious spirit. Yeah. So I refused to read. We were supposed to read about 20 to 40 books per year, different categories. I didn't even finish my prescribed books.
Wow,
but I could see myself being in a house full of books.
Wow, okay.
So that's my story.
All right.
But I managed to, so after matric, I am not one of those who went to study full time.
Okay.
I studied part time, and some things were fully completed, others not, because I love business more. But I found myself knowing how to pick the right kind of books.
Okay.
Some books were even prescribed at tertiary without me even knowing.
Yeah. And what does beyond the financial reward, has there been an emotional reward? I mean, somebody comes to you, they've got an idea, maybe they haven't even started writing the book, you help them through the process, and a couple months down the line, or maybe a year or two down the line, they've got their own book. Is there an emotional reward? And what is that feeling?
So thankfully, the bank taught me how to do what I do. It was in learning development that I learned the skills.
Yes.
So I pride myself with the fact that I will always make a difference in someone's book. Whether I'm working for a pastor, a doctor, a teacher, a learning and development practitioner like I am, it doesn't matter, but I always know that when we start the process, there is some value that I'm going to add. Because writing is an interesting, you are an author, so you would know that it's an interesting field.
Yeah,
no matter how much you've checked your work, there's always something that you're going to find. So my duty is always to find those things that the writer didn't find.
The nitty-gritties.
Yes.
The small
that can
detailing.
be improved.
Okay. And in terms of value adding, let's say somebody comes to you with an idea, they want to write a book about motivation, for example.
Yes.
Do you contribute to the actual content itself? So you say maybe you can explore purpose as part of motivation, for example. Or is it purely, oh, you want to do this? Let me check the grammar for you. Let me check. So the level of value, is it purely on a technical level, or is there added value in terms of the hardcore content as well?
So I love the fact that I've created this book, because recently someone needed to be helped right from scratch. And I say it's cheaper for me to help you through the book if you don't mind going through the book.
Okay.
Because I really try to cover everything that I imagine can be a challenge when one starts the writing journey.
Okay. I mean, as an author yourself, you know those challenges. So I guess you're best placed to also write, okay, step 1, this is what I went through, and these are the challenges you'll encounter, step 2, step 3, step 4.
If I may,
sure.
I can just go to the content page just to show you what I mean.
Sure.
So I've got publishing in general,
Yeah.
and I've got content, and that's where I guide a person
To what the type of content should be in the book.
depending on why are you writing, so what you want to achieve.
That's a very powerful point. Why are you writing the book? I mean, there are different reasons people write books,
Yes.
and some may be purely for financial gain, some may be, I want to be famous, some, different reasons. What do you believe is the best reason that anybody should say, I'm writing my book?
Well, for instance, I wrote a book because firstly I believe I was never going to die without writing books.
Yeah.
So it's linked to purpose.
Yes.
And I guess you also write, when I think of my banking years, I would write because I was asked to write material for this group or that department because they want sales training or so it's always linked to who is it for and what do you want to achieve in the end. I don't think you say I'm writing because I just love writing. Other than loving to write,
yes.
What else? So that will inform what your content will look like.
Wonderful. And you say you banking.
Yes.
And banking and an author.
Yeah.
They can be interlinked at some points, but it seems like two separate universes.
Yeah.
So you've got a banking background. Can you just tell us a little bit about that?
So I started in the frontline division.
Okay.
And in this book, I actually share in the second edition of Let's Heal No More Games. I like to talk about purpose a lot. And I share about how I was always bothered because when I started at the bank, I felt like I didn't have a portable profession. That's what Sakwa talks about in terms of qualifications.
Yeah.
So I just felt like I don't have a portable profession. I looked at my mom, who's a nurse, who could change jobs because she had something to present wherever she went for interviews.
Yes.
And I kept on thinking, oh my goodness, if I could have something, but I didn't know what. For instance, the bank also, when I was interviewed the first time around at the bank, because I've worked and left and went back. When I was interviewed the first time around, I was asked, so where do you see yourself 10 years later? I said, in business. I didn't know what kind of business. So it's just important to take everything one step at a time, and ultimately you will get to where you need to be.
Interesting title of your book, Let's Heal No More Games. What is the story behind it? It's a powerful title, and one conjures up different imagery of what possibly the content is, etc. But coming from the author, what is the backstory behind the book? What informed it? What inspired it?
It's a very personal story. So when I wrote the first edition, I just got impatient. I was going to write short stories. I was going to act like I'm not talking about me, but I was actually talking about me.
Oh, second person.
Yes, but I just felt like at that time, I didn't have any time anymore to waste. I needed to publish. I had attempted writing. I started my writing journey in 2009.
Yes.
And I found myself being invited to speak at churches a lot. So in the year when I felt pressure to publish is because, yes, I had been speaking, but there was a special environment where I had gone. I sensed something different. They wanted a book this time. And so I wrote and I put three different categories in one book, just to share my life stories, my experiences. I just felt I was at a point where I was aware of things that we can get rid of as human beings in order to get to experience a better life or a more peaceful life.
What are some of those things you can get rid of?
Specifically about women, young women. We can spend, I'm not a young woman anymore, by the way, but I still think I am. So I just saw how we tend to speak about a lot of things that don't add value. Boyfriends can be one of them. I'm not saying boyfriends are not necessary, but it's about what we say about the relationships, the love relationships, and the lies added that add pressure on someone else because that person doesn't even know that there's a lie. And I say there are consequences. There can be terrible consequences. A person can end up being pregnant because they did something that they didn't plan to do, but they're in this cycle of lies, or they could catch a disease, or they could end up in prison.
Or dead.
Or dead.
Yeah.
So even though I speak a lot about my personal experiences, I've put a little bit of just observation as well, but mainly my personal experiences.
I mean, it's a very interesting. Well, interesting is maybe not the best word, but it's a very touch and go type of topic, especially with the Me Too hashtag where women have been saying so and so was abused by such and such, especially in Hollywood, and even it's locally political and all of that, and women are coming out 20-30 years later saying me too, this also happened to me. And why do you think that happens? Why do people hold on for that long? What are some of the things that women in particular go through that they hold onto this thing for 20, 30 years, and then later come out with it. And what do they go through? I mean, your title, I believe, speaks to that.
I'm exactly one of those women, and I haven't gone into using the hashtag #MeToo. So in the first edition, there's a point where I talk about the abuse and how the friend said to the abuser, "Shoot her." And I say, thank God, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
'Cause he actually gave him his work police. He's not. He
Work
wasn't a
rifle.
police- Yeah, he was a traffic cop. Anyway, so I mean, I know that I kept quiet in that time. I was very young. I kept quiet. I knew my family would protect me. I knew they would act immediately because there was actually a minor case where my parents acted. My mother and my uncle fetched me immediately, and I moved immediately when someone attempted to just hug me or kiss me, and I mean, it was forceful, you know. But for that much more serious thing, I thought I was in love with someone. I thought he loved me. And it was just that kind of senseless reasoning, really. But it got to a point, because it went on for a few years, and I was quiet about it. And the guy was really disrespectful. And the thing is, when you meet this person, he's fine. He's not what you get to know him to be. You know, he's very decent. He's very calm and polite. So it got to a point where physically, I mean, I had been hurt physically, but this time I was hurt terribly. And I know I had, my banking experience at that time, I was carrying keys for a certain branch. I couldn't even go because my face wasn't okay. So I kind of even remember how I resolved that. So I didn't report the matter at that time to my grandparents, but he became disrespectful within a short space of time after that, and I thought, no ways, So then I decided to tell my grandparents. They phoned his family. His family was shocked. Oh, another thing is, he kept on telling me how it's gonna sound ridiculous when I say it, but I believed it at that time. He kept on telling me how well connected he was with the police, and that they wouldn't act, that nothing would happen.
Nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah.
There'll be no consequences.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a story that a lot of women are going through in silence. And if there are women watching who are going through a similar experience, what would you say to them?
All right. Firstly, I don't believe I'm talking about it, but it came out in the book because I was reflecting and I had to let it all out, So, you know what? As a human being, you have to love yourself. Every human being has a purpose. There's value in every human being. And it's not okay to let anyone do anything to you that is not right. It doesn't matter what you think. The person, it doesn't matter what the reasons are for that person, but nothing can be justified. Nothing can be, there isn't enough reason for anyone to do wrong against the other. And we say it's justified. It can never be justifiable.
Writing is for me, it's also medicine. Because as you write, you heal. Yes. As you write, the weight of what you've been through, the weight of your thinking, of the things that have been weighing you down, they suddenly are put on paper, and it's off you and onto the. Is that what writing has done for you as well? Have you healed through the process of writing?
Oh yes, certainly. So even though I'm promoting the second edition, I'm still holding on to the first book because I want people to see how the author herself has grown.
Yes.
Because healing is a process. So, I mean, if you look at the first edition, my approach was, firstly, I'm a Christian, and not many know that because I am or was such a great sinner, thinking of how the world will perceive.
Yes.
But I know that in my writing, and in my journey, it was God who helped me. So I wasn't going to hide that. But also, I purposely said, you know what, people have to see that even Christians have emotions. We have feelings. So we can get angry.
Yeah.
So there's anger expressed there,
Yes.
as much as I was also taking a step to saying, I'm sorry. I actually apologized to my heart in the first book, apologizing to myself. So I wrote poetically there, but definitely it was a healing process. But what I was doing, even though it was for me, I knew that anyone who reads it would also, if they've gone through what I've gone through, they would also find meaning in the book.
And possibly see themselves in the book, I believe authors are almost like, microphones.
Yes.
The microphone is there to amplify a particular message.
Yes.
And with your writing, whether you're helping authors or you're helping women heal from abuse, yeah, that microphone that is speaking the message, and people will hear the message and they'll be healed by it. Last question. What do you want to be remembered for?
Sure. I think for everything that I've done until now, I think right now, I told a few people that I had to say goodbye to. I said, I now want to consider my children and put them first.
Wow.
So I think I've really served. It actually brings tears to my eyes. I think I forgot about myself. I can't say I forgot a lot about my children, but I'm now purposely wanting to really put my children first, because I've worked, I've volunteered, I've helped. And the books are here, the audio is there, if people want to gain anything out of what I was trying to do.
Wonderful. And authors in particular, if they want to get hold of you, make use of your wonderful services, where can they get hold of you?
I'm available on Facebook as Portia Kel, Portia Kel Publishers. And also really give away my WhatsApp number. If you try to phone that number, most of the time I'm not going to answer.
Okay.
But find me on WhatsApp.
Yeah, okay.
It's 071-578-2058.
Awesome. And you also have a website, no?
Yes.
PortiaKel.com.
Yes.
Wonderful. Portia, thank you so much
for
making time to speak with us, and all the best.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
All right.
That was inspiring. I believe you were inspired. I've been inspired. And this has been Talk with Confidence. My name is Confidence Ep.11. Do tune in again next time right here on Global Conference Television. Later.